Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heard About It, our third episode. It's going great. As you can see, we've had a little bit of a change in the back.
Got some new lighting.
So
if you're on audio, obviously there's no difference.
You can't see that.
The audio might be a little worse than last week's this week because, again, Jason's gone.
Jason could not join us. He'll be very off and on, but...
and then we can't make it next week either.
Yes, that is another thing we want to announce. We, unfortunately, Jackson and I both will be gone on the same trip. So we will be unable to put out a full episode next week. We'll be back hopefully the week after that.
Makes you sound like something bad's gonna happen.
Nothing's gonna happen. We'll be back. We are gonna release
a bunch of shorts.
Though, so you have some stuff to carry you over. But yes,
because you're gonna be so sad.
You're gonna be so sad when we leave. But yes, there will not be a full episode out next week. So we do have a lot to cover though in this episode. A lot of different stuff happening.
I did want to record an episode for this next week as well, but there just weren't enough topics.
There's not enough time, and we didn't felt like we didn't want to stretch it out too thin and make two really bad episodes, and really wanted to keep some consistency. So so we're just gonna do this one episode, but yes, a lot of topics to get through today.
Also, if you're a video and audio person, you might have noticed these cups from last week. However, these are going to change when we get back.
We will
have a surprise.
New drinking devices.
Yeah,
that's all we can say. It's not that we're making it. It's not a super big deal. It's entertaining. No, don't expect like we got a sponsor or anything. We did not get a sponsor. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hey, any drinking device company want to sponsor?
We would love to sponsor. What was this? The Mighty Mug.
Mighty Mug.
These things are awesome. We would love to sponsor Mighty Mug. They're like spill-proof cup. You can't see it. I'm here. Can I like show it here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Can't even knock it over. That's the power.
Audio
of the
listeners,
Mighty Mug.
He is hitting it with full force, and it is not flying off the table.
Yeah. Mighty Mug, call us. We'd love to sponsor. We love these cups. Should we get to the content?
Yeah. Let's go ahead. Just jump right in. So Threads came out. If you don't know what Threads is, it's basically Twitter, but Facebook's version, or
Meta's version. Yeah, so it is it looks very similar to Instagram. It is basically like a combined version of Instagram and Twitter. So it has kind of the UI and the design of Instagram, but functions very much like Twitter, where it's the short form, public kind of release statements. Threads, it's a very interesting thing to put out. It's obviously trying to directly compete with Twitter. I think it was a good time to put out Threads. I think Meta's being smart with definitely. Threads because, a lot of people are leaving Twitter or upset with Twitter. And I think Meta is trying to say like, oh, here's a better version of Twitter that you may enjoy more.
People are already hating on it though.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of problems. I've heard there's still a lot of problems because, it's still Meta's version of Twitter.
It's tracking you in like every...
Yeah, I heard there was some privacy concerns, which it's like... So it was like, I get it, but also it's like you're still dealing with a giant social media corporation. So I can't imagine it being any better. But, I mean, it is already... it's, as of right now, the number one social media app on the App Store. Of course, that's because of initial downloads and stuff. But it's, I don't do...
Twitter's trying to sue Threads.
And they're trying to sue them, which... so a lot of stuff happening in the social media world. I don't actually have social media besides from our channel account. So we don't get involved. Are we gonna get? Do we want to do Threads?
I'm probably not Threads. I was thinking I would get a Twitter account for Heard About It.
Yeah, but if we have the Instagram, we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. You may see a Threads or a Twitter account.
Also, I forgot to mention this in the intro. Let us know if you want us to switch it to Tuesday or keep it on Wednesday each week. Because we were thinking about it changing the release to Tuesday. We still want it at midweek, so it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah. Thursday wouldn't be, I don't know. I just don't like Thursday. So Tuesday or Wednesday. Anyways, Threads.
Yeah, Threads. Forgot to mention that. But yes, Threads came out. That's a big deal, whenever a new big social media thing came out.
You would think it'd be a bigger deal though, because I mean, obviously I don't think it's as big as a deal people were making it out to be. It's still meta. It's still
a meta.
It's still
it's
a
just
platform.
another meta app where they
Yeah.
can try to. But I mean, I think it's a big deal considering what's happening with Twitter. You know, it's like Elon's buying of Twitter has gotten off to a rocky start. You know, people are leaving the blue check thing. You know, he had to release it. So
Well, then Meta went around and copied that as well. You have to
and there's
pay.
a blue. Is it still
you
paid?
pay for a blue check mark on Instagram.
See, that's the kind of thing where I think Threads could have been better. Like if you really wanted to win some people over, if you wanted to kind of frame yourself, don't make people pay for blue checks. Make it a thing based on verification and making
merit.
you
Yeah,
know.
no, because we're losing all like who
credibility.
is who.
Yeah, the blue check was a genius idea to keep credibility and let Twitter actually manage. And I get that Elon is trying to sort of tear down the system and who's to say these people, but also it's like these are people with a lot of power and influence, whether they like it or not, and so. It makes sense. I don't want someone imitating them saying crazy stuff when we know it's not them.
And that, there's so many scam accounts out there that mimic, like they're doing a giveaway, like a Mr. Beast giveaway or something, and so many people fall for it and lose so much money.
The paying for the blue checks was a mistake, and it's sad to see Threads try to repeat that and not try to just go back to what Twitter used to do and try to be the older Twitter.
It's interesting too because Threads, I mean, I think we've known about it for a little while. It kind of just came out of nowhere. They didn't have like a release date or anything. It just said, "All right, we're dropping today."
It did feel like it dropped. I didn't see this big, oh, this is the big thing coming out. It was just like Threads, But a lot of great things just get dropped too. Yeah. Great example, like look at Hi-Fi Rush. We didn't have a release date for that thing. Ended up being probably one of my favorite games. Already probably in the top 5 of my favorite games this year.
Was it this year?
It was this year, yeah. Really? And it just dropped. There was a showcase, and Xbox was like, "Oh, by the way, we're dropping this game onto Game Pass and PC." And
that's why I never heard anything about it.
Yeah, no one heard anything about it, and then everyone was like, "Oh, this is awesome," And Threads.
It's interesting. Bethesda produced it.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's
But a decent segue, I would think. Don't you think? If we're gonna segue into the gaming world.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't know where he was going.
I was very confused.
We're saying segueing to the gaming world. Not as good as this in the first episode. I'm trying to beat that, guys. I'm trying.
It's a standard.
But it's this gold standard.
We'll never make it.
Yeah. But no, we're gonna shift actually over to some rumors that have been circulating in the gaming world in the past couple weeks. The first one we're going to talk about is that Red Dead Redemption remaster / remake that is apparently in the works from Rockstar. That's very exciting news.
Well, could be, because we saw the same thing with GTA.
That is true.
Had, what was it, GTA 3, San Andreas,
it was
and
3, San Andreas, and Vice City.
I don't really play GTA, so
I don't play GTA. The only Rockstar game I've played is Red Dead 2. But yes, I do understand. Yeah, I do think some fans are a little hesitant about this potential remaster.
Because it could be just like those.
Because it could be just like those.
Which,
honestly,
the record, those were bad.
It was disappointing to see games that so many people love. Like, those are some very cherished games for so many people. Those 3 classic GTA games that really, they all came out very close to each other. Kind of redefined open world gaming. Very important games, very special games to a lot of people. And the remake, I know a lot of people initially didn't like the art style of the remake. I actually enjoyed the art. I think the art style of the remake was good, and I think it did keep some of the, what I'm going to say, like the nostalgia of some of the old graphics while looking modern. But I mean,
were they remakes or were they remasters?
It was essentially just the mobile ports with the fresh coat of paint. And I think that disappointed a lot of people. That they just tried to ship this essentially a mobile port as a collection. Yeah. That was $60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't 70.
At least it wasn't 70 at that point. But no. Red Dead Redemption. I mean, but I will say Red Dead Redemption looks and is a very different game from those GTA games. So I do think the remaster slash remake will look very different. And I'm excited. You know, I haven't played the first Red Dead. But Red Dead 2, I mean, honestly, one of the best designed games I've ever played. Not saying best game overall, but I mean, you talk about detail and like the graphics and the mechanics.
It's beautiful.
It all works like perfectly, like near perfection. I mean, it is a fantastic game. And so I'm excited to see.
Well, that was their only game they made the entire, what was it, 8th generation?
Yeah, I mean, it was Rockstar's big new game. I mean, GTA 6, I guess, is their next big one.
I guess so.
But, you know, maybe they're trying to do this remaster to carry people over. But, yeah, Rockstar does not have the best track record when it comes to keeping things secret. Because you had that big GTA 6 leak.
That was so sad. They were so sad when that happened because
then it delayed development. I think by a lot.
I think so, but they also it really shows how much they care because they loved their work and were so sad to see it leaked before it actually came out.
Yeah, I mean that was a little disappointing, but no, the remaster of Red Dead Redemption I think has a lot of opportunity, and I think there's a lot of people like me who have played 2 and never got the chance to play 1 because I believe it is still just a PS3 exclusive. I believe it was PS3.
Was it? I don't know that.
Yeah, it was PS3. You know, there's a lot of games like that where I feel like,
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear, which is finally getting ports.
Yeah,
I think
finally.
we talked about that in the first episode. That's exciting. Bloodborne, I still think has gone to PC. I think it is still a PlayStation.
Really?
And that hasn't got like a remaster or anything, which is ridiculous to me.
I've never played that.
I've heard great. I've heard it's amazing, and it's still just a PS3 game. So if you're look. Here's what I'm going to say. I love Alan Wake. The fact that Alan Wake would get a remaster before Bloodborne is crazy. Like, I can objectively say that's crazy.
Wasn't Alan Wake only on Xbox 360?
It was only an Xbox 360 PC game. And it was on PC. I mean, that's a game that no one played. I'll be the first one. No one played.
Remaster was on PlayStation, right?
Remaster was on. It's on every modern console.
Yeah, I thought so.
And Bloodborne is still a PS3 game. I think you can play it on PS4 and PS5, but it's a PS3 game. So yeah, but the back to Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, I mean, I do think, because the second game is a prequel. I think a lot of people maybe can treat this game as a sequel. Is a remaster. Because a lot of people have played 2 and not 1, but I think maybe they can see Red Dead Redemption 1 as actually 2.
2, I heard 2 was better though, right?
2 is better. I mean, it's still a data game. Hopefully, but maybe I think that's why people are excited.
Yeah.
For the remaster.
So I also heard it was good
because it maybe can fix maybe some of the problems of the game and the pacing.
I've never played any of these, so I literally have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. But yeah, another big rumors that have been circulating around. Well, not rumors. This was actually a leak
from
surprisingly Xbox during their court case over the Activision Blizzard buyout have revealed that PlayStation is planning to reveal a PlayStation 5 Slim.
Not surprising at all.
Not surprising. It's
it's interesting. They leaked the price. Yeah,
it was the price. It was $400,
which is how much the digital edition is.
Digital edition, but it is still a
so I assume
physical edition.
There has to be a disc drive. Otherwise, then
I'm assuming what it sounds like to me. It is a disc drive PS5 with less storage. Maybe maybe like it's and that's not surprising. A ton of company Nintendo has done that with the Wii and the Switch. Xbox has done that with the Series S, the smaller version. PlayStation has a long history of doing that. They've released different versions of PlayStation and Slims and stuff. So not surprising at all. I won't be getting it. I already own a PS5.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to have another model, considering half the time you can't get it.
You can. I've been to Best Buy. And it's on the shelves.
It's easier now. So I think the people that wanted it, and I'm sure it's still selling fine. It's the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
But I still think it's another model for them to have. It's one of those things where, do you think you'll get one if there's a cheaper
PS5
a Slim?
No.
No,
I mean, I already have PS5.
you already have a PS5. I completely forgot. For
I
some,
was
you know,
like,
I always
there's no
think of
point.
you. I know you're a big Xbox guy, so I always forget.
No.
Yeah, there's no point to. I don't. You know, they're trying to target maybe some people who look
Yeah,
at
but the problem with that is that if the people that wanted a PS5 but said it was too expensive, this is going to be $400. They always had a chance to get a $400 PS5.
the digital only. Yeah, so it's targeting a weird audience of I want a disc version, but I
Yeah.
don't want it to be 500, and I don't know how many more people they're gonna get with that. I think I mean, I really think the genius of the Switch Lite is, and if you really look at it,
I think the Switch Lite is great.
it's great because like $500 and $400 don't feel that different. I feel like to a consumer, 300 to 200 feels very different to a
Yeah.
consumer. And it's just that the higher you get, the more those $100 differences don't work. But I feel like with the Switch Lite, there are a lot of people being like, 300, But then the Switch Lite comes around. Oh, a $200 fully handheld console, that I can casually bring around. And I think that maybe did target a ton of people who maybe were Xbox and PlayStation people who were like, yeah, I don't want another full home console.
Yeah.
And so they treated it as another handheld. So the Switch Lite, I think, that was a genius idea.
Kind of speaking about the Switch system and PS5, what did you think of the handheld PlayStation thing?
Yeah, that
haven't
I think we
talked
talked a little. Did we talk? We may have talked a little bit about it during our E3
Did we?
episode,
I
first
don't even think we
episode.
did.
But that was another big announcement they made. If we did, I'll be short about it because I don't want to bore y'all. But we could talk about it again. It was interesting. I mean, I get it's I think a lot of people are seeing the Switch and the Steam Deck, and they're seeing the popularity of home console experience handheld, and I think you're going to see a lot of people asking for that. So I think it's a good idea.
I'm scared for the price. It could
Really
be
expensive.
really. I feel like.
But
it'd
you
be
still have to be in the vicinity
Yeah.
of your PS5
or just on Wi-Fi at least.
on the Wi-Fi.
It'll be remote play.
So I mean, like, I'm too lazy to go upstairs
Yeah.
to my room. I just don't see.
I've heard some cases is like they have their PS5 in, I don't know, their like home theater room or something, and then they just want to play in bed, but they
Yeah.
don't want to move the entire console. I can understand that, but
That's
is it
good.
worth gonna be like what is it?
It's gonna be
$150?
it's gonna be a commodity for like those super. It's gonna be a commodity. It's gonna be like say like an upper class kind of like I'm too lazy to go to this room. Allow me to grab my. I think that's what they're targeting is these super rich that I need a PS5 next to my bed along with in the home theater. But yeah, I mean
It's strange.
I mean,
The
that's what-
earbuds look nice.
the earbuds look nice. I will say though, I mean, it is always funny when you see these court cases like reveal stuff. I mean, I think we saw a little bit of that with Epic and Apple. I think there were some Fortnite leaks when that court case was happening. But I mean, it's a weird court case. The Xbox lawsuit. I will say the funniest. Off topic here, but the funniest thing that ever happened during the Epic Games
the
Apple court
banana.
case was the banana
The banana.
discussion.
I thought about talking about it.
Is where I think Apple was trying to make it seem like the banana character, Banana Joe. Wait, what's his name?
I don't remember.
The banana character from Fortnite, they were trying to say was naked. And the Epic Games lawyers went back to that point and had to reassure the jury and had to point out that it was a humanoid
It's a
banana,
banana.
so it could not be naked.
It's just a banana.
It was just just some mudslinging that really it meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. But people kept pointing that out, like that happened in a courtroom. But yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyways, speaking of Sony, Craven
Ooh.
trailer came out recently.
You're so good at it, Jackson. You're so good. I
I
can't.
watched too much LTT.
It's so good. I'm like, oh, Sony Craven trailer. I'm like, oh, dang it. I know we're very late to this. Don't
It's
start
very
yelling.
late.
We're very late. This came out. We could have talked about this.
And we're
last
not
episode.
talking about Craven and Spider-Man 2 game. We're talking about Craven, the
Yes.
movie.
The movie, Craven the Hunter movie, is coming out.
Might have not even heard of it. It didn't get shown up.
I mean, it looks good. It looks very
it looks
promising.
a lot like Morbius.
It's in the Morbius universe. it looks like they're trying to do like a super violent R-rated Craven, which it looks interesting.
If you don't know who Craven is, he's
Yes.
basically like this hunter, and he just hunts.
He's a Spider-Man villain who is this kind of like this really really good hunter.
Australian,
Is he Australian?
New Zealand.
He's some weird. He's not American. That's all I remember. But yeah, he hunts with like lions and he wears all this fur and he's like supposed to be like this really good mercenary assassin tracker hunter. And he's big in the Marvel comic. His probably biggest comic is Kraven's Last Hunt, which is a very famous comic where he buries Spider-Man alive. Yeah, super. Like he like finally catches him was like the big like. That was like the hook of the comic book. It was like the comic where Kraven finally
Yeah, and
catches him.
Spider-Man is his ultimate hunt.
Yes, that's the idea to him. Is like Spider-Man is the ultimate hunt. So I mean, it looks interesting. Here's my problem with Sony's, what they're doing with their ownership of Spider-Man right now, and this is like their non-MCU Spider-Man universe. Trying to do a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man feels so dumb to me.
Yeah.
And you may disagree, but those can be good movies, but I think trying to do like a Venomverse and the Morbius and all these movies and like it's all these really famous Spider-Man villains, but just Spider-Man isn't there, just feels ridiculous to me. And it's and maybe they want to introduce Spider-Man later down the road. I've heard some theories that this is just Andrew Garfield's universe, and we just haven't seen him yet show up. And maybe it looks dumb. The Kraven, I mean, it looks fun. I think a lot of people are gonna like it for the same reason people liked Venom. Because the Venom movies are fun. I've only seen the first one. The Venom movie is really fun. I never got a chance to watch Let There Be Carnage.
My problem with it is there's been this trend of making movies based off of villains. That's the thing, is they're villains. You can't have a conflict or easy conflict to create. It's possible, like man versus self, maybe.
But then it's like you're still billing them as villains, but you can't have a villain as them. Like they have to be turned into anti-heroes or like vigilantes.
Like think of
Cruella and like Maleficent, like I would say
Maleficent's
pretty good. I mean, it's an interesting twist. I mean,
I don't know.
It's that whole idea that like, I mean, I feel like there's a big trend right now where we're gonna have these in a lot of movies where these villains, they're not villains. They're like they're misled or they're misguided, and it's up to the hero to kind of there's like they're actually close and they're not that far away from each other. And I feel like I've missed, and there's some, I'll give some examples later, but I feel like I miss when villains could just be villains that you hate. And, I think that was something that was like entertaining about, like a dumb example, like Puss in Boots. Going to see the second Puss in Boots and to see a villain like Jack Horner that's just unapologetically evil. And I feel like you don't get that a lot.
So good.
Because I feel like, with movies like Shang-Chi and Ant-Man and the Wasp, like a lot of MCU stuff, and we'll talk about the MCU actually later in this episode, but this is a separate point I want to make. But when you get like Shang-Chi, which had like the dad was just like, he's a tortured soul, misses his wife, or with Ant-Man and the Wasp, like, it just felt like it was villains who weren't really villains. And then the movie was missing a villain at that point. Or it was then they threw in some CGI monster at the end that you couldn't, like Thanos, an amazing villain, because
I think it was just the build up.
It was the build up. He
was still great.
And it was like you still hated him because what he was going to do was terrible. But in his mind, he was right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of those things where the heroes were like, yeah, I agree with you, but your methods are terrible. Like, no, it was like, you're crazy. You're trying to kill a ton of people. We have to stop you. And I feel like, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I love as a show, it struggled with the villain because it was like, the villain was still trying to, you still wanted to feel sympathy for the villain and you kind of understood them. And it lacked just a good, like, this person's evil, they're trying to, like, we have to stop them. So I do feel like we're missing that, with like good solid villains. And, I think that Craven and Morbius universe isn't helping by having these like, oh, we're gonna have the villains as the main characters. That kind of move. So
Yeah. I mean, if they do come out with an Amazing Spider-Man 3, I'd be fine with that.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know about these villains being completely a part of it. I mean, Morbius going back
Yeah,
into
if
Amazing
Morbius, I hope Morbius is just gone.
I hope it's
I
just
hope
a
it's. I
one-time.
never saw it, but like, hopefully they just forget about it. But I mean, I just feel like there's a lot they could do, and it's with the whole MCU multiverse, Sony and Marvel seem to have this. They have a weird relationship.
They do,
because they're wanting to work together with the whole multiverse thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of communication between them on
No.
what the multiverse is, and you're seeing that a lot. I think with the Spider-Verse films and with the Morbius as a movie, there just seem to be so many
Well,
inconsistencies.
Marvel also
between
changed their scripts. And just
yeah,
didn't
because
say
Marvel
anything.
changes their scripts, Sony, has to play catch up, and then it's a whole
At least
mess.
the Sony ones, at least Spider-Man was still good.
Spider-Man, yeah, and like that's a whole thing. We're getting a little bit about Sony.
So
yeah,
many multiverses.
so many multiverse stuff, and Sony. I think they're just struggling on what do we do with Spider-Man, and the Craven movie in itself looks good. I just think, and
I
you
disagree.
disagree. I think it looks like a decent action movie, and and the guy I forget his name. You're gonna give me the guy who's playing Craven.
He's not big enough.
He's not big enough. I will give Jackson that. He doesn't think he's big enough, and I kind of agree. I think you need
some,
like
like,
some
Bane.
big, not like a Bane size, not Tom Hardy Bane, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
actual Bane.
Yeah.
Like a Dave Bautista.
I don't know who these people are, but yeah.
Not Dave. Who plays Drax. Dave Bautista.
Oh,
plays Drax.
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa would be a
He'd
great
be good.
Craven. But
Actually, yeah, he would.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's who's playing Craven, I believe. Yell at me in the comments if that's not his name. But I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great. I think if he was a little bit bigger, but I think he does have kind of his charisma and his kind of like his attitude. Well, but that was actually not the only trailer that's been shown in the past few weeks.
Catching on. These segues.
That wasn't a. I mean, we're still
It
in the
was,
same.
it was pretty a segue.
Yeah,
Anyways, Disney's Haunted Mansion trailer came out.
Yes, Disney is once again trying to do another
Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion movie.
Okay, so did the movie come out first and then they made a ride, or was it a
No,
ride? and then
so
they made a movie?
I'll give you the little timeline. Ride comes out, the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney World and Disneyland. Then they tried to do a Eddie Murphy movie based on that. It's bad. I would watch it because it's one of those like funny bads, and I actually think they made a second one. Then maybe
they
like
really?
a direct to TV segment without Eddie Murphy. It's really bad, but they are trying to do it again, and they're fully rebooting it. New story, new cast, new characters and everything. But I do think this is one of those things. Haunted Mansion, the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, it came around the time the Pirates of the Caribbean movies were really big for them. And I think in their minds, I think it was
older.
around the same time. Or
thought
maybe
it
it
was
was before. But I think it was, I could be wrong on that, but it was that idea, if I'm right, I think Disney was like, oh, we can just make these movies based on rides and make a ton of money. Because, Pirates of the Caribbean made them a ton of money. And Pirates of the Caribbean is great for a movie based on a ride.
For the first three.
For the first three. Then Haunted Mansion isn't as good, and it's a rough movie. But this new one, I'm actually gonna say it, guys, doesn't look that half bad.
I completely disagree.
You completely disagree. So we're about to have some. This may be one of our longest discussions today for some reason.
Such an odd topic to have that happen on.
Yeah. So I think it looks. I mean, it looks funny. It looks like a decent. It looks. Here's what I'm gonna say. It looks. I didn't watch it, but it looks on par with Jungle Cruise, which is another Disney.
Jungle Cruise is fine.
It looks on par with. It looks just like Jungle
I just
Cruise.
disagree. There's
Really?
too much. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like over CGI everything. I mean, I get it. They're
Yeah.
ghosts. You have to do that.
Ghost.
But man, Haunted Mansions I feel like are so oversaturated.
Yeah, I mean it's a very cliche, and they're buying it. But I think you got Owen Wilson and Danny DeVito in that cast.
Oh,
and
really?
They're,
I
did you
didn't.
watch the
I,
trailer?
didn't I watched the trailer. I didn't see the cast. I was paying attention to or I kept saying
You
the
didn't
ad.
notice-
I didn't technically watch the full trailer. I kept seeing the ad.
And so the truth is revealed. I have the upper hand in this argument because I saw the full trailer when I went and rewatched Spider-Verse the other day.
Maybe okay. If it was that Spider-Verse, then
It was. I mean, it looks like a decent like a fun like live action Disney movie.
trying to give the kids something while FNAF is coming out.
It's. I mean, it looks like. I mean, it honestly, it looks like it looks kind of goofy and campy, but it does. It looks scary enough to be interesting. Where it could be. We talked about this. With FNAF is probably going to be a lot of kids' first horror movies.
Yeah.
This could easily be, I think, considered a lot of kids' first horror movies. The good intro, but I mean, it looks pretty humorous. I mean, whenever you have Danny DeVito being Danny DeVito, it's gonna be pretty great. But Owen Wilson looks funny in it. But yeah, it just looks like a solid fun. It looks like on par with Jungle Cruise, which I didn't watch Jungle Cruise, but
It was fun.
it was fine. Yeah, so I think it will have that similar. I mean, not different genre, but that similar vibe of that kind of fun, slightly comedic action, kind of adventure movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you done Haunted Mansion at Disney?
Yeah, it's a great ride. Okay. Actually, let me scratch that. I did it super young, so I was like terrified. I was in like elementary school, like, super young elementary school. I was scared of it. I mean, it was. You get in that like waiting room when the ceiling starts dropping, which actually they show that room in the trailer.
Oh,
that'll be a
that's
room.
actually
Yeah.
so cool.
So
I actually went to Six Flags, the one in New Jersey recently. I don't remember what it's called.
where's this going?
So there was this haunted mansion kind of thing
there we go.
and it was actually so cool. So basically, it was called Houdini's like Great Escape or something like that. I don't know. And basically, you're in this room. You sit down, and the thing you're sitting in starts to move, but then also the room is moving at the same time. So you make it like you think you're completely upside down, but you're like just like a simple little lap bar like that's covering the entire row.
I don't like that.
And it completely
I'm getting, like
boggled my mind.
I'm getting like dizzy and weird about it. Like while you're telling me,
It
this.
was so weird because no, in reality, I assume we only did like this much.
Yeah.
But it felt like we were going fully
I
around
don't
in
like
a full
that.
like 360 circle. It was crazy.
I don't do that, but
It was absolutely crazy.
I don't do scary. I said this in the last episode. I don't do scary stuff. Haunted Mansion might honestly be my limit. I mean, I might tell you like, ooh, that was intense, and everyone's gonna be like, Walker, what the heck?
You played Alan Wake though.
I played Alan Wake is not that scary.
It's fun.
It has a few jump scares, and they're not even jump scares. But
Two
no,
is going to be scarier.
2 is definitely gonna be
Are
scarier.
you going to play that?
I'm gonna have
You
to.
have to.
I have to at this point. I'm just gonna have to hunker down. I'm also interested in the Resident Evil 4 remake, but I've heard that's pretty. But no, back to Disney scary. No, the Haunted Mansion. I mean, I'll probably watch it. It's one of those movies, and I feel like Disney has been releasing a ton of these movies, and it's hurting them. They're releasing a lot of movies where people go, "Oh yeah, I'll watch that when it comes to Disney Plus."
Yeah.
They're struggling with that because I feel like a lot of stuff they're releasing, a lot of Pixar films, a lot of animated films, are just like people are just like, yeah, I'll watch that when it comes to streaming because there doesn't feel this compelling need to like I have to watch that in theaters.
The thing is too, so this is a remake off of an original, right?
We've
seen this trend with Disney. They started using things that people love, and then remade them into live action or like fake live action with Lion King
or sequels.
That's with movies people love. People didn't like Haunted Mansion, and now they're doing it with this. That's my problem.
But it's not a remake. It's not a 1-for-1 remake of Eddie Murphy's movie. It's a very different movie. It's still based off the ride, but if you watch the trailer, very different plot. Totally different characters. The Eddie Murphy movie is like he's a realtor, and his family's going on vacation, but they have to stop at this house on the way, and it ends up being a haunted mansion, and like the homeowner's actually a ghost. It's a whole thing. Yeah, it's weird. It's bad.
When I first saw the ad, I thought it was like another Casper movie. Have you ever seen that?
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, but then it said Haunted Mansion. I was like,
yeah. What's interesting is didn't they just do like a Muppets Haunted Mansion before this? I could be crazy. I think Disney Plus then also just did like a Muppets Haunted Mansion movie.
I don't know. Did you see the trailer?
So I love that they did a Muppets Haunted Mansion movie though before the actual live action
That is
Haunted
kinda
Mansion.
funny. Did you see the trailer to the Muppets where it's like the rock band and they're
That
going on
actually
tour?
looked interesting.
It looks like what is it called? The one that you love. I think
Spinal
it's called-
Tap?
Yeah, Spinal.
It looks like a Muppet version of Spinal Tap.
It looks-
It was Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. I love that. There's some of my favorite characters in Muppets is Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. So I was glad to see them get a show. I've not yet watched it yet because there's way too much other stuff I'm trying to deal with in life. But
Well,
no. But while we are on the topic of Disney and we mentioned Marvel earlier, we are on to our final discussion question today. As of right now, Disney and Marvel Studios is releasing their newest MCU show, Secret Invasion, starring Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, as he is dealing with a clandestine Skrull invasion. I'm sure you know about that. It's, I believe, when we release this episode, its 4th episode will be out. But our discussion question is, they've released a lot of these shows, but is this actually doing more harm to the MCU than good?
I think that's undeniable. It's definitely doing more harm.
And I think the reason why, and I do kind of slightly agree, and I think the reason why is, and like, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not trying to attack the shows. I think they're good. A lot of the shows are good. You know, some of them are some of them are bad. But you know, this isn't about whether or not the shows are good. That's not what I'm trying to talk about here. My thing is, there's a lot of people who I feel like there's a lot of people now who have quit. There's a lot of reasons a lot of people are kind of jumping off the MCU ship. You know, the movies aren't as good. There's a lot of problems with the shows and stuff. But I feel like there's a good number of people who are like, well, I don't have Disney Plus. I can't watch these MCU shows.
Now I can't keep up with the
Now I'm not
timeline.
going to keep up with it. You know, if these shows are so important to the MCU, might as well not watch
too
the
much.
movies. You know, I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a reason a lot of people didn't go see Quantumania is they heard that Loki is kind of important for that movie, and it is let me scratch that. It's not important. It helps a lot if you've seen Loki to watch Quantumania, and I think a lot of people heard that and said, "Oh, well, I didn't
haven't
watch
seen
Loki. I'll watch Quantumania later."
I think that was the last Disney Plus show I watched. Was
Loki?
Loki. Then
And,
I
like-
stopped after that.
Don't get me wrong. Like, Loki is amazing. Moon Knight is amazing.
Oh, Moon Knight. I watched
Moon Knight is amazing. Secret Invasion has been really good so far, the episodes I've seen. So they're good shows.
I haven't seen it yet. My family watched it while I was working. They
They didn't like it.
did not like the
I
first
like
episode.
it. But it's one of those things where I feel like the MCU. I remember when they first announced the shows, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know how that's going to be weird." Because like a movie ticket and a subscription service is a very different buy for people. It's like I'm going to spend, I don't know how much Disney Plus is now, like 10 or
I
7
don't
a
know.
month.
They've increased it.
It's like, let's say 8 a month. I'm going to spend 8 a month to watch a show, or I'm going to spend like $10 on a movie ticket or $20 on a movie ticket. And, I feel like those are very different asks for people. A one-time movie, or, you got to have this subscription service so you can be catching up with this franchise you love. And I feel like it was just so much easier when it was just movies, and you would go and see that movie, and boom, check that off your list. I'm caught up. And instead, it's like these, essentially now these like
like
4-hour,
month-long-
5-hour
it's-
movies.
yeah.
And
if you
there's
miss
5
one, then you gotta
And if you
catch
miss
up with-
one, then you're all thrown off because there's
They're
like
not 20-minute shows anymore, which I honestly miss.
that was
I think shows were so much better when they were 20 minutes.
you've gotten that trend in streaming. A lot more shows have become basically just like mini movies. And it's very
Stranger
different.
Things had a 2.5-hour finale.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that finale.
It was
amazing.
great.
It was
It was
great,
really
But
good.
I do miss the 30-minute. The 30-minute
Yeah.
show. And instead of trying to do we're gonna do 40 minutes because it don't get me wrong, it makes things longer. I mean it makes it for a more. It makes for a longer buy-in.
I'm honestly surprised they do that because they want people to stay subscribed, right? So if
Yeah.
they have it in 20-minute increments, then they can spread it out more.
Yeah.
Keep people subscribed
Yeah,
longer.
it's funny because it's like, we've always talked about this. Human attention span is gradually
it's-
shrinking. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, with
Thank you,
with
TikTok.
TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And look, I'm the victim too. I'm not trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm a victim of it too. My attention span is ridiculously low. It's embarrassing. So I mean, that's dropping, and shows are getting longer. Shows have gotten longer, and I think that's not a good trend to have. Where we're gonna go from 20-minute to 40-minute, 50-minute shows, and meanwhile these people can barely can watch a video for 60 seconds, and I think that does hurt. I'm not gonna watch this show, and I struggle with it too, trying to keep attention for just like one episode. So I do think the MCU shows have been hurting. And and they can be, and they're great shows. WandaVision, Moon Knight, Secret Invasion, Hawkeye. Like, these are all good shows. And I'm not going to mention some of the other bad ones. I cannot say anything about Miss Marvel. I haven't seen She-Hulk, but I've heard a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of people, or you are one of those people, and it's bad. And but that's another thing I think that's hurting it is no one wants to watch She-Hulk, but apparently it's done a ton for
Has it really?
It establishes some other rules. It brought in some other some other important characters. It was an important show, I think, to the overall what's happening in the MCU. And so then it's like, well, now I gotta watch it. Like, I had a friend who was just watching it because there was this. I'm trying to keep it spoiler free in case for any reason you want to watch it. There was this one cameo that he was really excited for, and made himself watch the entire show for it, and he was miserable watching the whole thing.
That's awful.
And it was just and I think the MCU, it's when they spread. I think they got really big really fast.
I think James Gunn has a really prime time right now to strike with DC.
Yes, we talked about that, I think, in the last episode.
But then they're also doing the shows.
But they're also doing shows.
Too much content.
It's too much. It was there's too many shows, but James Gunn even wants to take it one step further with games.
Yeah,
which
people aren't going to play those.
People aren't going to play those. And look, you're probably looking at me but Walker, you could just look up what happens and what I need to know before I go see a movie. No one wants to do that. I don't want to, no one wants to do homework.
Experience it. Homework.
Homework to do a movie. I'm having, my dad is actually watching through the MCU right now. He's going back because he realized he needs to play catch up with the post-Endgame stuff. And, he's been confused, and I'm having to explain things to him. And as I'm explaining post-Endgame stuff, I'm like, gosh, this has gotten off the rails.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended
this
up
has
here.
happened, and so the timeline is split here, but it's always, and I'm just like, what am I even saying? And the fact that I've taken the time to keep myself caught up with all this is just ugh.
I've given up. I've just given up.
They got me for a little bit longer, but I don't know how much longer I can stay with them. Yeah.
I guess I've seen a few MCU movies in the theaters.
Yeah, and there's some good. There's still good.
What's coming out next? I don't even know.
Well, they're doing another Marvels movie. This is.
I'm probably not gonna go.
I'm blanking, but I feel like there's one coming out this year. Oh well. I mean, a lot of them got delayed, but so it's a weird time for the MCU with, I'm not gonna. Just sound like a broken record
much.
here. Everyone knows that who's been following the MCU, but. That's our thoughts on the MCU shows, and we wanted to talk about that with Secret Invasion being if I think about this, the 7th show they've done or 8th.
Yeah.
Not counting the hour-long specials.
See, there was 3 when they came out.
3, because there was WandaVision. Okay, we're gonna think this through, people.
WandaVision.
Falcon the Winter Soldier.
I didn't like that one.
Which I like those. Loki.
Loki was after that, really.
I mean, I'm not doing it in order. I'm just trying to figure out the number.
Loki, Hawkeye,
Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and then Secret Invasion. So I think there's 8 or 9. If I'm missing one.
I don't think we are.
I think there's been 8 shows.
Unless you count Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that was...
And then there's some of the shows that they've made
those were canonical.
They used to be,
but then they got taken off.
Yeah, but then they've made Daredevil canonical. Which, if you want a good Marvel show,
Daredevil.
Watch Daredevil.
Really
it is. It's. I've just started it. I'm loving it. It's a fantastic. It's really it's based heavily off the writings of Frank Miller, And if you're a comic fan, I'm sure you recognize his name. He's a legendary comic book writer and artist. So
I've only seen the first 4 episodes.
I mean, it's a really good show and really well done action and stuff. I do think that's one thing that's missing from the MCU is the giant. If you're kind of getting tired of giant CGI fights, watch Daredevil because it's these very more traditional that very close
like the
up
beginning of
action
of Shang-Chi.
like Shang-Chi, yeah, like those.
Just the beginning though.
Yeah, so I think
that's all.
that's all we have for you today. Thank you for stopping by. We thank you, as we said earlier, attention span's low, so we appreciate that you were able to stay to the very end of this episode. I mean, about 40 minutes is a long time, a long ass. So we're glad.
And again, no episode next week.
No episode next
sadly.
week. However, we'd still love for you to comment. Please we didn't get any comments last week, guys, so we had to think of ideas on our own, and that's hard.
We need topics.
We'd love to have topics from y'all. We want to actually talk about what y'all want to hear. So please, give us a topic to talk about in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Be sure to check out the Quick About It. Be sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram.
And Spotify.
So many things. Please,
So much
do
content.
it. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe.
If your attention span's too low, we'll keep you busy.
We'll keep you busy with Quick About It.
You know?
The attention span. If you have a low attention span and you can't watch full episodes, watch our shorts. So many things you can
If they
do to
have
help
low
us
attention
out.
span, then they wouldn't be watching this part.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah,
Worth a
that's
shot.
true. Worth a shot. But yeah, please, if you're not subscribed, help us out. Subscribe. We got to 40 as of the time we're recording
I
this.
think we were at 40, then we dropped to 39. Now we're back at 40.
Now we're back at 40. We're right now at 40. Don't unsubscribe, please.
Please.
Don't. We like the
Please.
number 40.
We like it.
Let's see if we can get to 50
next
by
week.
by these
2 weeks.
by the next episode. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
please,
we can do
thank
it.
you.
But thank you all because we have 8.4 thousand views on our channel.
Yes.
Which is
thank
awesome.
you so much
Thank you.
for watching.
It's actually really, really cool.
And getting us to 40 subscribers so quickly. I did not expect us to get to that number so quickly. So we appreciate all the love and support and the great, to everyone who's been very complimentary of us in the comments and in person. Thank you.
Also, quick shout out to B&D Bricks. You are the super fan.
Yeah,
of the channel.
B&D Bricks.
Commented on every video, pretty much every video.
Shout out to B&D Bricks for being really supportive and really showing the love. Well, thank you guys so much. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Goodbye.
See ya.